Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks, and yep, I'm going to be looking at heavy tank number 6, and yeah, that's not a Tiger. Well, it is a Tiger, but it's not, if you get what I mean. So anyway, heavy tank number 6 sits in, well no, it doesn't sit in the Japanese tech tree, should I say. It's in Japanese tier 6, which I've probably just said. But it's a new premium that we've got. On PC it does sit in the tech tree, which is where I'm getting a little bit mixed up. But yes, this is a tier 6 Tiger, basically. That's what it is. But it joins the Japanese rather than the Germans. We already have 3 Tigers in the German line. The Hammer, the Tiger and the Tiger 131. A lot of people have said, do we need another one? And to be honest, yeah, I think we do. I like this tank. And you see, if it was going to join the Germans, I would say no, we do not need another one. But it's not joining them, it's joining the Japanese, so I'm quite happy with it. A lot of people aren't particularly, or seem to be giving it a bit of a hard time without actually trying it out, or really doing much research on it, from what I've seen on Twitter and things like that, with people with this coming out just sort of going on about it and saying bad things about it and this, that and the other. But to be honest, I like it. My first 2 games in it, one of which I'll show you at the end of here, the other one I won't, because it was... Well, it was an ace tanker game with a Devastator, and I don't think it gives an accurately sort of average performance, if you see what I mean. But I will put that one up later on today in Random Destruction, which would have gone up last night, but I was going to do this. But then, well, if you ever heard the expression, God laughs, well, God laughs at man-made plans, I think that's quite inaccurate. It should be kids laugh at parent-made plans. So that's why it's going up this morning. But let's get on with it. So... yeah, what do I say? It's a Tiger at tier 6. You get a 650 horsepower engine, which is the stock engine from the German tech tree Tiger. You get the short 88 on it. So it's kind of a mix of fully upgraded and stock. With the Tiger, obviously, you get the top turret, you get the short 88, but you get the stock engine, etc., and this, that, and the other. But you get 8.57 rounds a minute. Now, interesting enough, that's much slower than Tiger 131. Don't compare it to that. That's tier 7. That's got increased pen and increased rate of fire on its short 88. But at 8.57, that's actually slightly less, only slightly, than the VK360-1H with the short 88. That gets 8.69 rounds a minute. And the Tech Tree Tiger, tier 7, with this gun, gets over 9 rounds a minute. But don't forget that is a tier higher. So yeah, 8.57 rounds a minute, 145 pen, 220 damage, standard short 88, 194 on your premium, again 220, and 44, 270, 2.3 second aiming time, 0.38 accuracy. Other than the rate of fire, the performance is the same as the other short 88s, barring Tiger 131s. 26 degree hull traverse, which is, I think, on par with the Tech Tree Tiger, if not a little bit faster it might be. And a 20 degree turret traverse, which is slower than the other Tigers. That is slower. But again, don't forget this is a tier lower. You get a 370 meter view range as well, which is the view range, I think, of the stock Tiger, and it's 10 meters less than the fully upgraded one at 380. So again, it's a tier lower, that's understandable. But you still get the same armor profile. Now, having said that, with the traverses, the irony, this being a Japanese tank, is that this is probably the most accurate, or historically accurate, sorry, Tiger that we have in the game. The Tech Tree Tiger is not an accurate representation of the Tiger's performance in real life. It's much faster, and its turret turns much quicker, and it also has a different gun in real life. Basically, this is what the Tiger looked like, short 88. That's it. And this is basically the engine size that it had. This is the turret traverse that it had. So yeah, it is kind of ironic that the Japanese Tiger is the most historically accurate Tiger we have in the game. And when you top tier, comes up against the most historically accurate enemies as well, because it's Shermans, T-34s, Cromwells, etc. So if you want a historically accurate Tiger, this is the one for you. Like I say, the Tech Tree Tiger that we have is not an accurate representation of how the Tiger performed in real life. Now, equipment wise, gun lane drive, gun ram at vents, pretty standard heavy tank kind of equipment for me. You could drop the vents and put coated optics on it, but I really don't think you need to. A bit of angling with this, you can bounce a lot of shots. There are things you're still got to be careful of, OIs, M6s that are fully upgraded, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can bounce a hell of a lot. Supplies wise, again, pretty standard prices, 240, 3,200 and 180, and I've been very boring on my equipment as well, and equipment consumables, and put standard consumables on there. Skills wise, I've not got a particularly skilled Japanese heavy tank crew at the minute, so I've just put the one in out of my own knee. Repairs, track mechanics, 6th sense. I am overtraining at the moment. I would definitely put possibly clutch braking on there, which would be handy. The traverses are a little bit slow on this, but other than that, yeah, pretty much standard heavy tank sort of skills, to be honest. Maybe situational awareness would be quite useful on there as well, just to try and help with that slightly lower view range. Carries a lot of ammunition though, 74 and 18 I've got on mine, so yeah, you do get a lot of rounds in this, and you can expend a lot of rounds. You know, I've put these in just to give you a bit of a comparison. Full upgrade Tiger, 26, so same hull traverse, but that gets slightly better on the turret traverse by 23 degrees. But again, like I say, that is not an accurate representation. This is, like I say, this is historically accurate. In real life, they never had an 870 horsepower engine. It was about 650, 700 at the most, but I think it was just 650. So there you go. But yeah, you know, I have enjoyed it. I've enjoyed playing in it, and when it is top tier, I would even call slightly OP. Like I say, the first 2 games that I had in this tank, well, my second one with no XP bonuses, just my daily double, I got over 7,000 XP. For my daily double, so yeah, they can be a little OP. Like I say, you do get a reduced health pool though of only 950, which is the same roughly as the 360-1H, a lot less than the Tiger, which has 1500. And your bonuses on this are 20% silver and a 30% XP bonus. But like I say, I do like this tank. You know, it can be capable when it's bottom tier, and in fact I will use a bottom tier replay for you, and when it's top tier, like I say, it can be quite OP as well. So I'm not going to get too much into this because the placement and everything's pretty much the same. Stationary concealment is 0.11, moving is 0.06, so not very stealthy, but then again, what do you expect? It's a great big bloody tank. Engine is at the back. A lower power to weight ratio, obviously, because you have a smaller engine of 11.41. Same forward top speed of 40 km an hour. Same reverse at 12. Same, I think the same fire chance at 20% as well. You also get the same elevation of 15 degrees. Same gun depression of -8 degrees. So again, there's not really much to say there. Tracks, they are slightly different. They do look slightly different. They're slightly different shape, and the terrain resistances are ever so slightly worse, but literally by 0.1. So 1.2, 1.4, 2.9, whereas I think on the other ones it's like 1.1, 1.3, 2.8 or 2.7, something like that. So there's not a great deal in it with the terrain resistances. But again, you have to remember this is a tier lower than all the other Tigers. Turret on top. Radio right in the middle at the front, which I think might be the only bit that's about different. And ammo racks are spread out quite a bit, but again, same sort of location underneath the turret, stretching from the top of the hull down to just below the track line. So yeah, again, ammo racks are basically the same location as the normal Tigers, so there's not really much to remember with these. Just, you know, if you're shooting at it, treat it as a normal Tiger, commander's hatch, that sort of thing, unless you can easily pen the front. And crew members, same place as well. Driver, hull gunner, and then you threw up in the turret, commander, gunner, loader as well. Armor wise, again, same profiles, 100 on the front of both the hull and the turret, 80 on the sides and rear, which does give it the edge over the 360-1H because that has slightly less on the sides and rear. But apart from that, like I say, it is basically the same. I will go through it quickly just to show you, but again, if you can't pen one of these from the front, then you're going to have to go for the commander's hatch. It's as simple as that, or get around it. There are no frontal weak spots to speak of, apart from really the commander's hatch. And with this, again, even when you're top tier against some of the things, it's not about sitting straight on, it's all about the angling. So you want to angle it roughly about 30 degrees, so that your gun isn't quite over the corner of your tank, but it's sort of, in fact, probably over the hatch maybe. Yeah, so it's not quite over the corner, and that increases your front thickness, increases the side thickness, so you want to be sitting about that, and does make it a lot harder for things to pen you unless they go for your commander's hatch. But anyway, 21-30, top of the turret, top of the engine deck, top of the commander's hatch, and the hull floor, as well as the underside of the sort of track overhang of the hull. 31-50, tracks, a bit of spaced armour on the side of the gun mantle and the top of the commander's hatch. And again, don't forget the tracks act as spaced armour on all tanks. 51 to 70, very well sloped upper glacis, thin strip of lower glacis there, sort of the lower glacis, and the hull sides behind the tracks. So if you can try and shoot through that gap, it is a slightly thinner side, and there's also very small lower rear glacis as well as some strips just at the top of the hull, which is actually nothing. You can see there it's just a bit of spaced armour to protect, I think, the driver's hatch and the gunner's hatch there. Well, the whole gunner's hatch, should I say. 71 to 90. Side of the turret, rear of the tank, the rest of the commander's hatch, again, all pretty flat, basic, one thickness. 91 to 120, the rest of the gun mantle, the turret ring at the front as well. Well, I'm not entirely sure. The flat plate that the driver's hatch is in, or the driver's viewport, should I say, and also the what I would call the lower glacis, or the upper lower glacis, whatever you want to call it. And then we do have an extra little bit, which actually lists as 150, which is that part on the gun mantle, which I think is the same on the Tiger as well. So the gun mantle on these can be quite tough, but if you have enough pen, you can just punch straight through them. You know, tier 8s, I'm sort of looking in your direction. Tier 8s aren't going to have much trouble getting through one of these. Well, there you go. Tiger. No, not Tiger. Heavy tank number 6, also known as the Sushi Tiger. And like I say, I like it. I do like it. I do like the Tigers. I kind of like it because it is historically accurate, but it does feel a bit sluggish, and I can see why people are not going to like this tank. You know, if they're used to the speed and manoeuvrability of the Tier 7 Tech Tree Tiger, this is going to seem awfully sluggish to them. So I can see why people wouldn't like it. Personally, I really do like it. It's a change of pace for training my Japanese heavy tank crews, because what other choice have you got? A Kaiju? That's not very available very often, and it's the same as all the other heavy tanks in the Japanese tech tree. This at least is different and gives me a different change of pace for when I'm training my heavy tank crews. But I do enjoy it, like I say, and I do think it is slightly OP when it's top tier. But let's get into the replays and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays, and top tiering this one. And like I said in the garage, I do have an ace tanker game with this, but I'm not going to use it in the review because I'd rather use the more average games for the review. Because like I've said before, there's more average players out there than there are, there are great players. And again, not putting anybody down, but if they weren't the majority, they wouldn't be the average. So that's why I just try and use sort of more average, so that and get a better idea of what you can expect from this tank on a regular basis, rather than anything else. But I will put the ace tanker game up later on today in a random destruction if you are interested in seeing it and sort of seeing what this can be capable of. So yeah, that'll be up later. But anyway, back to this one. Like I said before, top tier, and there is another heavy tank number 6 in this game on the enemy team, but I haven't seen many of them as I've been playing, so it doesn't seem to have sold particularly well. But I think anybody who enjoys the Tiger will probably enjoy this, but do be aware, with that smaller engine, it does come with the reduced power to weight ratio, which does make a big difference in acceleration, and especially going up hills as well. And the next replay that I've used is a tier 8 match, and it kind of highlights some of the drawbacks of this as well. But with this being a tier 6, like I said, again, and I'm just sort of reiterating for those who skip the garage bit, this, even though it's in the Japanese tech tree, is probably the most historically accurate Tiger in the game. It's got the right engine size, it's got the right turret traverse, it's got the right gun and turret. The stock Tiger obviously has a turret that the Tigers didn't have, I don't think. In real life, I think this was the only turret they had. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. But it does make a difference, like I say, the acceleration and what have you, but this is quite a nice tank, and like I say, I do enjoy it. And this is not a lone tank, by the way. The Senshi is, or was, a lone tank. This one is actually my own. I've bought this one. It's one I've been looking to get for a while, actually, since since I found out about it on the PC. And since we had the Japanese tech tree added, this is one I've been interested in, because like I said, it's a change of pace for training my heavy tank crews. Because if you want a premium Japanese heavy tank, you've got the Kaiju, which is an OI, which is the same as the tech tree one, or you've got this now. So there are your two choices, and well, sorry, there is Nameless as well. I keep forgetting about Nameless, which is coming back, don't forget, at the end of the week, I think. Around the 21st-ish. Yeah, it could be a bit off on the date, but anyway, around then anyway. Of September, for those watching this video at a later date. So yeah, I mean, there is Nameless, but Nameless is a lot more expensive. This will be coming in cheaper packages. It's still got that staggered release, which is, well, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it. I don't agree with it quite, but I can understand why it's done. But yeah, still not overly keen on the staggered release. But this was my very first game in this. And even the next one, I think, is only like my third game in it. But with it being a Tiger, essentially, I know how to use it, so it's not as I've had to get a feel for it. Like with some tanks that are new and sort of unique. No, it's not looking particularly good for our team, and I'm basically going to head back towards Cap, because I've seen what's heading that way. There's really nothing else particularly up this end of the map. There may be a straggler or two around the enemy Cap, but most of the enemy team are pushing through that middle and pushing down the bottom side of the map there, the southern side, as you can see. And our guys that were near the Cap, well, they've been overwhelmed just by sheer numbers. So I'm going to head back and see if I can do a bit of help and do a bit of good. Or help a bit and do a bit of good. That's probably the right way of saying it. But yeah, again, it's... You know, what can I say about it? It's, like I say, it's a mix of a stock and an upgraded Tiger. You know, it's got the upgraded turret, it's got the short 88. The performance has been... Well, no, the rate of fire has been lowered ever so slightly. And, I'm assuming that's sort of to kind of balance it for being a tier lower. And also, obviously, you've got less health. And again, that's to balance it for being a tier 6. But you do see up to tier 8. It does not get preferential matchmaking, and you can put camo on, as you can see there. And I think it looks quite nice in the Japanese camos. It just looks a bit different. But I'm starting to take a bit of a beating. But it is, again, with the Tiger, and even when you're top tier, it's about your angling. You know, you don't sit face on, angle it a bit, and you will improve your armour thickness, quite a lot. But it's more than capable of taking down, things that it comes up against top tier, more than capable. But there are certain things, like I've said, that you do have to consider and think about, generally the stuff with the big guns, like your OI. M6, that's 90mm, anything with a 90mm is going to give you a hard time. Yeah, here comes the enemy. Heavy tank number 6, and I know I'm a goner here. I thought that one would actually kill me, but it didn't. So I'm going to get another hit on this guy. But yeah, that's your lot, I'm done. The enemy heavy tank managed to get round on me and take me down. And that one, unfortunately, did end up as a loss. But I came out of it with 2,500 damage done, a little bit of assisting, a little bit of blocked, and a high caliber as well, and a first class mastery and a sniper. Oh, with mastery badges, I don't know if any of you have noticed they've been harder to get recently. Apparently, I think it's some sort of issue with war stories, with people going into war stories in certain tanks, and it kind of classes it. I don't know. It's weird with war stories. I'm not sure if it actually changes it or does anything to your damage standing or anything like that, but I think it does take into account possibly the damage and the XP that you get in there, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, something's not been quite right with the masteries recently. I've seen some very odd ones. I think Jack the Ripper put a tweet up, and he'd got over 2,000 base XP in Edelweiss, and he'd done a hell of a lot of damage and sort of spotting and whatever, and it was still only a second class mastery, which was very, very bizarre. But anyway, they should be getting back to normal soon. Obviously, with heavy tank number 6 being new, it's still got the sort of set parameters for your mastery. Now, this one is a tier 8 match, so I'm bottom tier. And I know that the Tiger 131 is a tier 7 with preferential matchmaking, so that does get into tier 8. But Tiger 131 has higher penetration with its short 88. That has, I think, about 169. This is 145. And I've used this one not because it's a particularly interesting match, and not because I do particularly well in it. But again, it's a sort of average match, and it shows some of the drawbacks to this. Namely, the 145 pen on the short 88, and namely the traverses as well. There is a point where that does cost me a little bit, well, cost me quite a bit of health actually, the traverses, and that's why I've used this one, because it does show some of the drawbacks to this tank. But in general, and this is my honest opinion, I like this tank. But then again, I like the Tech Tree Tiger, I like Tiger 131. And I do, like I said, I do like this tank. When it's top tier, it's so much fun. When it's not top tier, in tier 7, you've got to be careful. But it, like I say, with it being sort of that mix, you've got the top turret, you've got the short 88, so it's not quite as bad as being in a stock Tiger when you're in a tier 7 match. It is better, and it does perform better than that, but you've got to be careful in the tier 8 matches, especially with him with that lower health. You know, like I say, 1500 for a Tech Tree Tiger, 950 for this one. It does have to be balanced, again, like I said before, because it's a tier lower. But 550 health, that's a big difference. And, you know, I mean, that is a big difference. That, you know, in a tier 8 match, that's a couple of shots from even the biggest gun. Or, well, I say the biggest gun, I've just thought the troll cannon on the ISU 152, but, you know, barring that, from most of the tanks at tier 8, that's a couple of hits that you could take extra in the Tech Tree Tiger that you can't take in this. So that does make you play it a lot more cautiously and carefully when you are in a tier 8 match. And you really don't want to be going in there. Top tier again, you can get in there. You can get in, you know, you can get quite far forwards. Don't go right up though, because if anything gets around you, like I say, you do have the hull traverse of you know, an upgraded standard Tech Tree Tiger, but you don't have that turret traverse, and that's where it can get you. But I'm moving, basically. I've done very, very little. Managed to get 4 hits, mostly having to use a few premium ammo as well, I think, on the OI there. I couldn't do anything to how was it? Tier 8, yeah. Couldn't do anything, trying to get the flatter parts on the front, even with premium ammo, it just wasn't going through, and it was showing sort of 50-50. But I'm now on the move. I needed to move from that point anyway, just because of you know, what was happening there. And I need to try and get to cap, because everybody else is busy. I can get through, and if I can just get into cap, that'll stop the timer with it being an encounter. And on the way there, I did manage to take out that T-32, which was quite nice, set him on fire, which was very fortuitous. And just managed to take him down, so I was quite happy with that one. But now if I can just get into cap, something spotted me though. Could be that guy. Can I get a hit? Get the turret round. Not quite, and he's got past me down the hill. And this is why I wanted to use this one as well. Again, because I used, well, obviously you've just seen the bit before where I was struggling to pen things, and with this one, this highlights that sort of downside to the traverses. And as you can see, I'm trying to keep up with him, and I am struggling. I do manage to get another hit on him, but I'm on low health now, and, you know, he took off most of it. So, you know, like I say, there is that. With that being a T-34-85, fully upgraded, they have about 144 pen. So from a bit of a distance, with some angling on this, he probably would have struggled to get through the front of my tank. If he wasn't fully upgraded, and he got the 120 pen, definitely with a bit of angling, he'd have definitely struggled to get through the front. But that's when you go for the commander's hatch, when you shoot at one of these things. Or you just try and get around it, especially if you can track it and get around it, because the turret just won't keep up. That is one trick, so that is something to also be aware of when you're driving one of these. If anything does track you to try and get around you, you're just going to have to burn your repair kit and turn your hull as well as your turret, because your turret just will not keep up with them. And again, shooting at it, track it and get around it, because its turret will struggle to keep up with you. But like I say, you know, it does have its downsides. What tank doesn't? But I honestly am enjoying it. I honestly do like it. Like I say, this is my own. I bought this one I've been wanting to get it for a while, and just took the opportunity just to pick it up at the weekend. So, and again, I can see why it wouldn't be for everybody. Even people who do enjoy the Tech Tree target, I can see why they may not enjoy this because of the reduced power to weight ratio, that smaller engine, the reduced turret traverse. But if you are a collector, I know some of you are, I know some of you prefer the more historically accurate tanks. You know, I saw a comment the other day about somebody collecting their historical tanks and on about getting Fighting Girlfriend because of its sort of historical sort of connections. So yeah, if that's you, then like I say, this is probably the most historically accurate Tiger in the game, and when it's top tier, we'll come up against basically historically accurate sort of enemies, Shermans, T-34s, Cromwells, that sort of stuff. So yeah, that, you know, like I say, just giving you all the sort of facts and things that sort of popped to mind. But there you go, not too bad. 2,000 damage, came third in tier 8, so I was quite happy with that result. And like I say, I'll show that Ace Tanker Devastator match in random destruction later on for anybody that's interested to see what it can be capable of when it's top tier. There you go, hope you've enjoyed that. Like I say, I've certainly enjoyed making it as always, and I shall be back later on with random destruction. So until then, take care of that, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.